Hello and welcome to another new episode of Learning Simplified. In our previous tutorial, we had learned about UI Semantic accordion, how to implement it into our project. Now in this tutorial, we are going to know something more, something like this action. As we click on this button, we can see that there goes the sidebar appearing at the extreme left of our web page. But when we click outside, we can see that the sidebar disappears. This is known as the sidebar toggling action, and today we'll be knowing about it. So in the first place, we will be putting on some HTML markup language right over here, and in the first place, this is the markup language which is required in this particular case. We'll be defining it right now. First of all, press Ctrl S and head back to your browser, reload, and you can see that this is going to be the result. So in this particular case, what we had done, we had created a div element which is using a class of UI Sidebar inverted vertical menu. These are the classes being used by the sidebar here, and inside this sidebar we had created some of these the hyperlinks, and in the next case we have placed a pusher class. Now a pusher class is practically required to push the site's content into your web page. That is why we use pusher class. So the HTML markup language is being used right over here. If we now press Ctrl S and head back to our project, we can see that there's practically no change, and if we click here, we can see that there's no sidebar action appearing into our web page. Now we need to initialize the sidebar that we had introduced into our page. Inside this pusher class, we had practically created a button with an ID go. I had used a simple ID here. If you are not satisfied with it, then you may name it as click here or something like this. So first of all, let's copy this button ID name, and after that, if we head back at the bottom of this page, this is the script where we need to initialize the sidebar action, and here we need to mention that we will be using on clicking what will happen right over here. So this is the ID that we used in an earlier occasion right over here where we had created this button ID, and we had used the same ID right over here. What will happen? The main motto is on clicking this individual button, click here, this click function will be performed. So what is the click function that is about to be performed? That here it goes. Now we can say that on clicking this individual button with this ID of click here, it will be involving this UI Semantic class of UI Sidebar, and the sidebar action will be toggling in nature. So this is what will happen on clicking this individual button, click here. This ID is being used right over here. There it goes. This is the same ID. So if you press Ctrl S, first of all, sorry, we had missed this hash right over here. So if we now press Ctrl S and if we now head back to our project and reload, and now if we click here, we can see that the sidebar toggling action is now in place. So this is the sidebar which is appearing right at the left side of this individual web page, and if we click outside, we can see that this will be the result. But on the other hand, we can see that an eerie thing happens. The viewport is right now blank while the rest of the content is now pushed down. If we reload again, we can see that the site content is now right at the place where it should have been. But if we click onto this button and on bringing on this individual sidebar action into the left place, we can see that the site's content is now blank at the viewport.